Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sarpy County Board of Equalization meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 15th. It's 3:02. I'm out of breath because I was running across the parking lot. The Nebraska open meeting rules are on the north wall of the boardroom. We got all 5 commissioners present, along with our deputy county administrator, Scott Bovick, our clerk, Register of Deeds, Deb Hoteling, our assessor, Dan Pittman. Anyone from the treasurers here?
We don't need them today.
Okay. If you would, silence your cell phones. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2 items on consent.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Burmeister, second by Klug. Discussion? Please vote.
I'm a yes, yeah.
Okay, I'll put you. Okay, ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Okay, 1 item on the regular agenda, tax correction 17062. Any questions for Dan Pittman, our assessor? Motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Klug, second by Burmeister. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Yes.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Okay, all agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Equalization is adjourned. Okay, welcome everybody to the Sarpy County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 15th. It's 3:04 p.m. Copy of the Nebraska Open Meeting Act is located on the north wall of the boardroom. In attendance today, we have all 5 commissioners, our Deputy County Administrator, Scott Bovick, and our County Clerk, Register of Deeds, Deborah Hoteling. First thing on the agenda today is employee recognition, and I would like to invite Sheriff Jeff Davis to the podium. And actually, I'd like to have all the commissioners join the sheriff down here.
Test works.
Yep, you're on.
Basically, a little over 3 years ago is actually October of 2019 when the board decided they actually were going to build a new corrections facility. Myself and Chief Deputy London got together and decided to ask Captain Richards nicely if he would like to help out and be the project manager. And he had experience doing that. I don't know if you remember this, but back when the tow lot was built, he was responsible for building the tow lot. Actually, to tell the truth, I didn't like it. I didn't think it would work. And it's made the county several $1 million net since he did that project. This is a much larger scale, obviously, but about 200 or 300 meetings ago, and that's what it took, picking the right contractor, et cetera. He took in everybody's ideas. From most of you that are here had an opportunity to be on a committee and put forth your ideas and how you think that facility should look. And you have behind me what's going to be finished in a couple of months, a state-of-the-art corrections facility. At the time, Brian had experience because he was the jail captain, and he graciously said, yeah, I'll do that. And today we'd like to honor him for that. I'd like to call up from J.E. Dunn, Corey Erdkin, Jake Teagan, and Blair Bishop. I think they want to say a few things and make a presentation.
Thank you, Sheriff. On behalf of J. Dunn, I just wanted to say thank you to Brian. I got to say, I've been with J. Dunn for 25 years, and he's easily my favorite owner's rep. And that's a tall order, and there's a few things that I'm going to remember about Brian. One of them, when I speak of tall, you're the only owner's rep that would ever go on that 75-foot scaffold. And take a look at what the masons were doing on the very tip top of that elevator shaft way back when that was the only thing standing up there, and all of Sarpy County was just concerned about that toilet that was up there on that scaffold. I'll also remember how quickly you react to anything. You might say, hey, I'm going to have to get back with you on that. It might take me a little bit. Within 30 minutes, you had something that I thought was going to take a week solved. So kudos to you, and it's been a pleasure working with you for sure.
Yeah, thank you for letting us speak here today and honor Captain Richards. So Blair here is quite the carpenter, put together a pretty cool memento for you. So that's what we'd like to give you here today, and just want to echo what Corey said, how great it was to work with you, and the shared partnership from day one, and it really shows in how successful this project has gone for us and hopefully for everyone involved. And we just want to thank you for your commitment to that. So that's all we got. And Blair, get to hand that to him since you made it.
Thanks. The sheriff came to us and asked if we could sign one of the trophies, or one of the trophies, the shovel, that ceremonial shovel we used to move the first dirt. So I told him not only could we sign it, but we could mount it for you too.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Flip it
It's
over.
upside down.
It's upside down.
Couple comments, Brian?
We will hang your wall, you will find studs.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate
Hold
it.
that for you, and then we'll get your comments. He's gonna-
Oh,
Okay, in front of the, I thought Brian would say a few words.
oh. He already did. He said, he told me, I don't want to talk. I don't even know what to say. I'm surprised, and I just can't thank my people I work with and my family and the new friends I made at DLR and J.E. Dunn, who held my hand through, a lot of times when things were hard to understand, and my bosses listened to me complain back when things weren't going well. As you know, any project has got its own obstacles. So, but everybody supported me, and I can't thank everybody enough. I'm a little shocked right now. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, before we get some pictures, on behalf of the board, we just want to tell you how much we appreciate your leadership. I mean, leadership is leadership. Whether it's out doing law enforcement activities or it's leading a major project, really a once-in-a-generation project for the county to successful completion. And when we cut the ribbon and start using that facility on a day in and day out basis, we'll know that your fingerprints will be all over the building. So on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, this is a very small token after this beautiful shovel, but we're going to give you our Sharpie coin, and hope you keep it with you, because if you don't, it could get expensive. All right? All right, can we get some pictures? Katie? How do you want the pictures? Why don't you guys go out?
Brian, you hold it.
Go get right over here. I'm usually in the back. That's all right. Right in the front.
My older brothers are here too.
Here, let's let the family, how about just the
Yeah.
family building?
Yeah.
That's better.
I've got the family's phone.
Congratulations, Brian, again, and appreciate your family coming out and all your colleagues coming out to support you. And thank you, Sheriff Davis, for doing the presentation. Commissioners' comments?
None?
None for me. All good.
Okay, I have one announcement. Just a reminder, tomorrow, it's a public meeting. The county board's meeting with the county boards from Lancaster County and Douglas County to kind of go over our agendas, both legislative and other, for 2023. So that's occurring here in Sarpy County at Warner Park. So tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Okay, consent agenda. It looks like we have 10 items on the consent agenda. Would any of the commissioners like to see any of these moved to the regular agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to approve as published.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Klug. Any further discussion or questions?
There you go.
Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Okay, item 6.1 is a public hearing. It's a possible vacation of 6,764 square feet south of Harrison Street, west of 144th Street. The person bringing this action is Jim Lang of Lang Law LLC. Is Jim here? Jim, would you like to address the board on this matter?
You want to pull them?
Yeah, just carry that around.
Just confuse you.
Chairman Kelly, members of the Sarpy County Board, my name is Jim Lang. I'm an attorney at 8526 F Street in Omaha. I represent the applicant here, Krishna LLC. Krishna LLC is the owner of the apartment complex known as the Bear Apartments at 144th and Harrison Street. And if you recall, back in March of this year, Krishna acquired about a half an acre from the county that was vacated ground. And then our request here is to acquire this additional 6,764 square feet, combine that with the parcel we acquired back in March of 2022, and they would go ahead and build a apartment building on that parcel that kind of matches up with the apartment complex they have right now at that location. We've gone through the process required by the statute here. The county engineer office has recommended approval of this. We're also agreeable to pay the amount, which is $4.27 per square foot, which amount is the same amount Kirschner paid back in March of 2022 on that parcel. So at this time, we're asking in this public meeting, I understand the votes next week, but at this time, we're asking that the county board support our request for the vacation of the 6,764 square feet at this time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions for Mr. Lang? No questions. Okay, this is a public hearing. Does anybody else want to address the board on this matter? Okay, I'll close the public hearing and take a motion. No? Just a
Not yet.
hearing today?
Next week.
Okay, got it.
I just have one question
Yeah,
for.
sure.
For Scott Bovnick. Scott, obviously, we're giving up some right-of-way here, but for the future use and everything, just for the public, I just want to make sure that we still have plenty of right-of-way for anything that we might want to do in that area.
Yeah, I think as part of the request, the county engineer needs to review the vacation request, and I believe the county engineer's office looked at that, and we're retaining sufficient right-of-way to make sure that if any expansion of that road, which is unlikely because it's pretty much in its ultimate state, is needed, they would look at that. But I think the map that's drawn and the amount that we're vacating is something we won't need to acquire back in the future.
So, for the county, just remind me, the process, 3 public hearings or just 1?
Just one public hearing, and then next week, the resolution for you to vote on whether or not to vacate will come to you.
All right, we'll see Mr. Lang next week, I presume, so. Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 6.2, that's Resolution 296. It's Amendment 2 to HGM Associates. It was approved in 2019 by Resolution 414 for additional construction administration for the replacement of 2 bridges on Shram Road west of 236th Street in the amount of $44,623.70. Denny Wilson, County Engineer.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Hope all's going well so far. Our project that we had enlisted HGM to do involved 2 culverts out toward 234th Street. You probably wouldn't know they were even there if you didn't have a chance to go down toward the river. I did want to mention that the Papio Natural Resource District is pleased with that they can get access to that, as is the fire department for Gretna. So that's kind of a nice ending for that particular part of it. The process that we went through on this, when we had the low bid with a construction firm we had not used before, we wrote some questions for a survey to find out what was going on with it. Mark Rood came in, answered the questions. Renee Frankman was involved in it as well. And it appeared that the company did have a very strong construction firm background, just had not done culverts prior. So HGM Associates said they would be willing to take additional time to work with them on site, explain to them what needed to be done, et cetera. So that $44,000 in this particular instance is a number that would be associated specifically with the additional work being done on that. I think that is all I had on the. Yep, that's about it for the agenda item on that.
Questions for Denny?
So Denny, so what you're saying is the 44,000 is work that HGM did was that an amendment to a previous, or was that just in addition to the first?
It's added to the first one, which was, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure.
I'm doing the 30,000 flight level, and this is my guy on the ground, so
Okay.
that's what we're doing.
So we hired HGM to do the construction administration for the project. With Brink being a relatively inexperienced contractor, HGM had to perform extra work, oversee the contractor a little bit more than typical. So that's what that additional money is for, the additional time that they spend out there watching the contractor.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Klug. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Okay, 6.3 is Resolution 295, which is an amendment number 1 to HGM Associates, which was approved previously under Resolution 2019-413 for additional engineering services related to the replacement of the Buffalo Road bridges over Springfield Creek and Buffalo Creek. Additional cost is $25,000 here. Denny?
On this particular project, we had a situation in which we had done several alternates for where that road would go. I give kudos to Commissioner Warren because he was the one who came up with the winning answer. We are looking at heading straight to the west from where Buffalo is currently at 138th Street. The bridge will be replaced. We would be cutting into parcels, essentially, Dwight Trumbull's farmland there. We talked to the Department of Transportation after having conversations with Mr. Warren, and they said that works fine for them. There's enough distance between the two segments of the westbound Buffalo Road and the eastbound Buffalo Road. So with that in mind, there are a number of items here that we had looked at from HGM's viewpoint, saying these are some of the additional things we're going to have to do for this project. And it had not been passed up to this point in time. They said that they would anticipate waiting on the work until the services were authorized by the board. So that remains, along with right-of-way acquisition on it, and then they'd be ready to go on it. By acquisition, we would be mostly with Dwight. So I could answer any questions.
Questions for Denny on this one? Motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Klug, second by Warren. Any further comments or questions? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Thank you. 6.4 is Resolution 297, amendment to the development agreement between Mad Dad Land LLC, previously approved by Resolution 2021-64. Adds the Sanitary Improvement District 348 Southern Pines replat as a party and allows for a delay of the construction of Phase 2 road improvements at the southwest corner of Highway 50 and Platteview Road until they're warranted. Nicole Spitzenberger, Deputy County Attorney.
Hi, Commissioners. So Springfield Commerce Development at Highway 50 and Platteview Road is getting ready to do their Phase 2, and they just wanted to amend our original development agreement to delay the Phase 2 improvements. There's zero cost to the county. These are all on the developer, and then we also included the SID so that they would be a party to the agreement as well. So, is there any questions?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Warren, a second by Commissioner Klug. I do have one question. The Phase 2 improvements are listed in our agenda.
Yes.
Do all three of those have to be met, or can any one of those be met before those improvements begin? So it
That's
says,
just a list of all the Phase 2 improvements. So basically, the traffic signal wouldn't go until it was warranted.
so they won't do any of those three until it's sworn. And who makes that decision?
No, they could do them separately.
Incrementally?
Yes, yes.
But who makes the decision on when that's necessary?
We left it up to the county.
So the county engineer?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Okay, on the regular agenda, we have some discussion items. The first one is the third quarter report from Gross Sarpy, Josh Shravat, the interim executive director.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Here with our quick third quarter report. I don't know if, do we have it on the screen or? Nope, okay, well, so I'll just tell you the numbers. So a couple things just to kind of pull out on our front normal spreadsheet page. Some of the kind of interesting things. I know when we look at new industrial office plats, so point out Gretna Logistics Park Phase 2, so that's adding about 75 more acres to that industrial park up in Gretna. That brings that park up to 160 acres, so there's development going up there right now, but right now that's probably our best site, aside from some of the warehouse development we have going on across the county. Further down, single-family housing permits. I know we've been really curious how our fourth quarter housing permits will end up, but our third quarter just kind of continued at the rapid pace that we've seen. So as far as single-family housing permits and plats go, we're pretty much right on par with where we were last year. We'll see, we've kind of anecdotally heard that fourth quarter, things are starting to slow down for some of our communities where they used to have around 60 permits a month. It's now closer to 30. So we would, just with, everything that's going on, the interest rates, we would expect that to slow down, but we'll be watching out for that this next quarter. In regards to multifamily housing permits, though, we are on track for potentially our best year yet. It's not surprising. We keep seeing more and more of those getting built. We had, I think, our best quarter to date with 533 new units permitted this past third quarter. The total record was last year. We had 1,082 units permitted for the whole year. So just this past quarter, we had half that in one quarter. One note, as far as workforce, right now that seems to be in addition to sites, workforce continues to be kind of our biggest obstacle to landing some new projects. So dug into our labor force numbers a little bit more. I know whenever I talk to businesses, at the end I ask, what's economic development to you? What can Grow SARPI do to help you guys out? Almost everyone says workforce development of some sort. And I know we hear a lot, and I think there's a lot of thought out there that, there's just people aren't working. In regards to that, kind of depends. I know in Nebraska right now, as of September, our labor force participation rate was 69.9%. I think our 12-year high is like 71 or somewhere in that 70%. So we're still kind of right there is where we normally are. Compare that to the national average is 62.2%. So Nebraska is always there towards the top of labor force participation rate. So people are working. One thing to notice, though, is labor is getting a lot more expensive. So right now, average weekly earnings in the state of Nebraska is just under $1,000, $994. That's up 2.8% from that point last year. If these numbers were pulled in September, I looked at the July numbers, it was like a 10% increase from year over year July. So it's still increasing a lot, but it is slowing down a little bit. So we have companies are facing, there's not a lot of folks out there in the labor pool right now. And the folks that are out there looking for jobs, they can demand a pretty significant wage. Jump over to our third quarter progress report. We did land another project. So as Facebook continues to expand, Meta continues to expand. They announced their most recent expansion. So that's single data hall. It's the kind of the farthest south building that's getting built right now on that campus. So it's kind of estimated to be about 100 new jobs, and the capital investment is $228 million. So as that campus continues to get built out, we'll continue to track those numbers. And I know we didn't get it to it this year, but I think next year will work. We had a economic impact study we did a couple years ago, but now as Meta and Google and other projects across the area built out, I think we're going to try and revisit that study, get some updated numbers, and figure out really what that impact is, and so we can have those tools and have those numbers to kind of share that information. In regards to opportunities, we're still seeing a pretty active number of projects coming through the door. As you can see, especially for Sarpy County, ones that we are able to submit sites for almost exclusively manufacturing projects. So it makes sense. We have a ton of warehouse development going up. So those folks don't need to come talk to us. They go straight to the developers. But those warehousing projects, they're kind of all over the place, from really, really large projects to some specialized semiconductor projects. Only other thing to mention, we do anticipate a couple more expansion projects. I know Plain Foods is well on their way through their phase 2 of their project. It's a couple hundred more jobs, bring in their pepperoni line. So kind of helped them out early on in that process. And I know they're starting to explore potential phase 3 expansion. So continue to work with great companies like that. Right now, just a lot of it comes down to timing. If the right site opens up at the right time that a project's looking for that building, we're in a great spot. But depending on the time and what's available, it is tough sometimes to land some of those bigger game-changing projects. But with their unemployment, it's probably not great to keep landing 500-person jobs every year, because that's going to suck the labor pool up. So when we do have those really good projects that we can compete for and throw everything at, I think we're in a good spot for those. But we'll continue working with that. And maybe one other high-level update in regards to we're doing our Highway 50 kind of west visioning plan. So think of everything that's getting opened up from the sewer. We're kind of trying to build consensus with the communities, work with our engineers to figure out what type of uses could this accommodate. 50 years from now, what would this area might look like? We can take that to our policymakers, say, hey, look at the potential here. Let's look at these opportunities for more interchanges or these other investment opportunities, but also take that to projects as we start to build out. So right now, if they look at the map, it's just a ton of land out there. But to say, here's the plan. Groups have agreed that if you're looking to put your advanced manufacturing plant, this is the area for that. These are the corridors you'll use, and these are the the road infrastructure that will be there in place for you down to come. So working through that, hopefully mid first quarter, next quarter, we'll have a kind of a revamped version of that. We got the first draft through, and we're going to our communities to get some input. But it's kind of a quick, brief update on our third quarter. I think as far as filling the permanent executive director role, I would anticipate that that'll be filled by the end of the year, if not soon after. So hopefully that'll have some certainty there and continue to work moving forward. But if there's any questions or anything else, we'd be happy to.
Questions? Questions? Okay, thanks, Josh.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Okay, Juvenile Corrections Report, Tammy Steensma, Juvenile Services Director.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
I think I can get this up here. So we had 29 bookings in October for a total of 34 admissions for the JJC. Average daily population was 18. Average length of stay still about 16. 87 on our house arrest and truancy program, and 14 in the alternative school, and 47 in our reporting centers. So pretty steady numbers. They have been increasing over the last few months. Medical data, this is the only thing that I do want to just draw to your attention again, would just be the youth that we do have on psych meds. So we had a total of 12 youth on psych meds for a total of 26 meds, so a little over 2 meds for each one of those youth. We did have 1 ER referral and 36 mental health watches, no EPCs and no ASAP visits. So just lastly is our usual map that I present to you. We did have served 13 counties in the month of October, the most of them coming from Sarpy, but a large group of youth that we have in detention right now. And I'm actually happy to be here at this meeting right now because it's kind of a zoo down there. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just one question on the meds by the juveniles that are in there. Who pays for those?
Either Medicaid or parent insurance, and sometimes we have to, the county will have to, if they don't have insurance and they don't have Medicaid.
So does that, if they're in there, if they're one of the other 12 counties, are they paid by the other county?
That's correct. The other county, the county that is placing them at our facility, they will be charged that amount.
And currently, what is the cost for someone from the outside to house a prisoner in the JJC?
$235 is our per diem.
Do we have any idea what our annual cost is? And then the obvious question is, how do we go about raising our cost to help to cover our expense?
So I work with the county attorney's office and also administration to determine our average per diem, and then that's what's sent to our contract counties. So we did actually just in late 21 raise our rates to $235 a day. We are very comparable to the other detention centers for staff secure. So if you're talking secure detention, Douglas County is $270 and Lancaster County is $282.
And so you're saying our actual cost?
No, that's not our actual cost. That's just our per diem.
So what's the benefit of having additional people in there?
As far as payment?
Yeah, I mean, if our cost is significantly higher than what we're getting from the whoever's boarding the prisoner there.
So if you look at our admissions, which were 34 admissions and how long they had stayed there, and then multiply that by $235 a day, although we're not charging the exact amount, which would be probably around $600 for a youth to stay there, we're still being able to make up that money. So $234 if we had an average daily, or $235, but an average daily population of 18, so 235 times 18, average length of stay is roughly 16 days, at least for that month of October. We would be able to recoup that money.
So if we were back just to housing only, and I'm just hypothetical, housing Sarpy County prisoners, could there be less staffing?
Housing, well, because we had 11 youth that were in detention, so it depends on, and that's from Sarpy County, so it depends on the male-female ratio. And then because I have quite a few youth that are charged as adults, and sometimes they can't be housed with some of the other youth that are there, so I would not be able to reduce staffing because I would need to have 3 pods, so females, a male juvenile, and a male adult pod. So I would not be able to reduce staffing.
Okay.
Just because I have to have all of those pods open and available.
Thank you.
Just pull the string on that a little further then, just so I understand. The costs are the costs, right? Whether there's 5 kids in there or there's, for all intents and purposes, 15 kids.
Essentially, yes. So I will have to have someone running master control. I will need to have a supervisor and all 3 pods that will be.
So your point though is that even though we don't recoup the total cost, it helps offset the total cost.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, is the setting a per diem guided by statute on what we can charge?
No, it is not guided by statute.
Well, then why wouldn't we charge more?
Well, we have to be comparable, in my opinion, to the other facilities too. So, and we are comparable for our staff secure. So Madison County is 170, so they're considerably lower
Right.
for their staff secure
I see what you're saying,
facility. So, want to be comparable, but also,
You know, and I get the economics, but what is their capacity rates at like Douglas and Lancaster and Madison? Are they full?
well, these last couple of months, we've all been full. So we've been kind of juggling some youth around between our facilities. And that fluctuates too, Commissioner Kelly, because that just depends upon the time of year and the situation and the charges that we're seeing.
Okay.
I understand that the youth that we have housed in Douglas County for other than staff secure facility will possibly be coming either back or be leaving Douglas County. What's the plan to do with those kids?
So, as you all know, Douglas County will be opening their new facility and moving sometime in '23. We are hoping to be able to have at least a month-to-month contract with them until they get things figured out on their end. However, we have worked on the backside with Carlson, West Pavandra, as far as trying to figure out what can we do at the JJC to either modify one of our pods to make it secure or possibly even add on. But in all, being realistic, construction's still going to take several months, if not longer than that time frame that we will need when Douglas County finally says they are done holding our youth. So our only other options will be Lancaster County and Madison County, and again, that's if they have room.
So
I have no answers for you, Commissioner Warren, because we've been discussing this since 2019, that they would be closing their facility or at least moving to their facility. Last week, they had 90 youth in their detention center. So to be able to squeeze those kids into their new facility means that they will not have room for our Sarpy youth. So we are going to have to come up with something, and something fast.
Okay.
Any other questions?
When are they opening?
That's still up for discussion. I've been told summer of '23. I've also been told March of '23. So it's coming quickly. But again, I have asked for a month-to-month contract with them until they are able to fully move. They might have both of their facilities open in the meantime, just because they're going to have some movement issues.
So, just coincidentally, we're meeting with the Douglas County and Lancaster County Commissioners tomorrow. So is there any message we need to carry into that meeting?
Well, it would be nice if they would be able to accommodate our youth until they no longer say they're able to do so, especially Douglas County, because that's a lot closer than Lancaster County. But if Lancaster County would at least be willing also to hold our secure. So knowing that we're really going to be at an issue come 2023, if not sooner than that. So any type of plea that you have with them or work that you have with them to be able to continue to hold our youth, we can also, which we've been talking about, like a swap. So holding some of Douglas County youth, and I actually have one Douglas County youth in there right now, but that one doesn't compare to all of the youth that they have at their facility. So I might be able to hold 1 up to 5 of their youth. That just doesn't always, won't offset everything.
How many Sarpy kids are in Douglas County right now, do you know?
I have 2 in there right now.
2? Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Community Corrections Report, Jake Burst, Community Corrections Director.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Better.
Good. Caught your breath. Here are our October stats. Our house arrest numbers were pretty down for October. We only had 3 new placements, 6 total participants. Usually we're hovering somewhere between 12 to 15 in there, as well as applications is usually closer to 20. So we just didn't have as many applicants last month. No new admissions for RAP or work release, but we did have 2 participants over at the Douglas County RAP program during the month of October. Did have 34 new placements on pretrial release. Just one of those is out of Cass County, no new placements out of Odo, with a total of 241 total participants. Here's our year-to-date numbers thus far. Nearly 400 placements, 623 participants. We hit that 700 number screening-wise, with over 7,000 jail beds saved at the rate of $7.8 million. Here are the charts you guys have become somewhat familiar with. Our screening numbers remain pretty high, up here in the mid-60s for last month. We had 33 placements on Sarpy County pretrial release for the month of October. Our electronic monitoring numbers leveled off a little bit after several months of declining for our alcohol monitoring. It went up by 1 for 85 participants, and then several months of climbing with our GPS monitoring. It declined by a couple at 81. And then our charge categories have remained pretty consistent. That 40% number for our biggest category, the crimes against person, that was 40% for August, September, and remains 40% for October. That is, that's all I have. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Okay.
Questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all the agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Commissioners is adjourned. And we'll bring up the Board of Corrections now.
Okay.
Okay, welcome everybody to the Board of Corrections. Today is November 15th. The time is 3:44. And Nebraska Open Meeting Rules are on the north wall. All 5 commissioners are present, along with our Deputy County Administrator Scott Bovick and our County Clerk and Register of Deeds Deb Hotelling. On the agenda today, we have 2 items. The first one is our Corrections Director report. Ryan Marr, welcome.
Don't forget to approve minutes, Commissioner.
Yeah, we got to do
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Forgot.
And Mr. Klug, you were gone last time.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, great.
Okay, item 3.1, first of all, is the minutes from our last meeting, October 18th. Motion, please?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Mixon. Please vote.
Ayes 4, abstain Klug.
And now, the long-awaited Corrections Director report. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Just one thing to note on our normal corrections report, if that window would close. There we go. And also want to want to thank Captain Richards, appreciate the recognition of him. We certainly wouldn't be in the shape that we're in today without all his leadership and help. Brian welcomed me before I came over to Sarpy County, walked me through the project, and like I said, just been a great help to us. I wanted to mention that. On our corrections report, thing I would point out is that our average daily population kind of keeps ticking up the last 5 months. Our average for the last 12 months is 160 inmates. So we're a little bit above that, but I think we're going to be in really good shape getting into the new facility. I'd be happy to answer any questions. The other stuff is there's not a lot of change between the last several reports that we've submitted.
On the average daily population, 167, and what's our max over there currently?
Our design capacity was 148, functional capacity is about 126.
So
we've got some people on some cots.
Okay.
But it's very transitional. It can be 167 one day and 2 days later down in the 150s.
So I don't know if you're the right person to ask this or if it's better to ask the county attorney's office, but when an inmate gets booked into the jail, is immigration status validated?
There is, I would have worked with ICE. There is a phone number that we can call to check that if there's a question for that.
So if we determine that they don't have residency in the United States and we can't determine their immigration status until we call ICE, is that how it works?
Correct.
And then what does ICE do?
They would likely put a detainer on the person depending on the type of offense. Usually if it's a felony conviction, they will put a detainer on the person.
Okay.
But it's...
Go ahead.
Are we still looking at 287G program?
We did look into that, Commissioner, and the program's really not active. They're not training people in that. So we've got a phone number to call, a local ICE agent.
Is that inactive because the current administration?
I'm not sure why. They just pretty much stopped that training for that program. I did inquire about that, but so they're referring us to this, and if we have any question about somebody's residency status, then they'll guide us through that once we make that contact.
Thank you.
Okay, so just so I can understand the process just a little better, simplify it as much as possible. Somebody gets arrested. They get booked in for whatever charge they happen to be. There is a status done of of whether they have legal residency or not.
We're gonna do the fingerprinting. We're gonna do the identification process with each person. If there's a question about their residency status, then we would make that contact.
And then you call ICE, and ICE is in Omaha or Lincoln? Or
Yes,
Omaha.
they're local
And so
agents.
ICE comes to Sarpy County and does the handling at that point?
They would proceed with it, yeah. They would be the agency that would, once their criminal proceeding, the adjudication process ends, then ICE would take them from there with a detainer. They put a hold on the person.
Okay, so they would put a hold on them, but it would depend on the severity of the crime or not?
Generally, my experience with them has been that it's for felony convictions.
Felony. But anybody can break the law if it's not a felony? We're just gonna let you go back out into
That's their.
even though you're here illegally?
So that would be their discretion of whether they're gonna place a hold on a person for a misdemeanor or any other type of offense. That's their jurisdiction.
Okay. So they're gonna be released. Okay,
Would be
not your call. I'm not passing judgment here. I'm just trying to unwind this. So they're gonna be released. Are they referred to our pretrial diversion? Or? I mean, how does that work? Or are they just
So
bonded out? Or
If they're adjudicated,
are they bonded out?
there could be if there's no hold.
Okay, and
ICE
is
did not
anybody
put a hold.
tracking the metrics or statistics on how many come back for court?
I don't have that number. I could check. I'm not aware of ICE having a hold on any of our population right now.
Well, the reason I'm asking all these questions is because I read in the on the internet, we're a sanctuary county. And I say, of course, we're not a sanctuary county. We support the immigration laws, but it doesn't sound like it. Sounds like we call ICE, and if it's not a felony, we release them. That's not in accordance with
Like
the
I said, I
immigration
would have
laws,
to
is
go-
it?
I would have to go back and look in that to see if we've had any misdemeanor admissions that they did not put a hold on. I'm speaking from my experience with the state as far as what they would pursue. But as far as Sarpy County is concerned, I'm not aware of us having anybody in the facility right now that has an ICE hold.
Yeah, okay. Well, with 500 million, with 5 million illegal border crossings in the past year, I would assume that every state's become a border state. And I would also assume that we're going to see a lot more traffic through our correctional facility of people that may not be here illegal. And it just seems to me we ought to have a more codified process. It seems to be a line of scrimmage call by the ICE folks, which are federal agents, I assume, right?
Yes.
So they're operating under the guidelines of the federal bosses, I guess.
Yes.
And the state and the county really has no.
That's the direction they've given us is this is the number that you call.
Is the only way that we would have an ICE hold is if we called that number and they said yes?
And they said, we'll put a hold on this individual.
So the only way they would become aware is if we determine.
We tell them, we would tell them we've got a question about this person's residency status. And then they would do the investigation, place the hold on the person, if in fact they were here illegally, but that's their discretion.
So the database that was set up in 287G, so there's no training for that. Is there even access to that database at this point for any of our?
We don't have it. I think we had a couple of officers trained, but we don't have access to that database right now.
And was that cut off by the feds?
When I approached them and asked about the training, they said, we're not doing that. Here's the phone number that you would call.
Shouldn't that be public information though?
As residency status?
Yeah, or the database itself that was in use. I mean,
I don't know about, I'm not familiar with that program, but I did make an inquiry with them.
Well, I appreciate, I mean, I know you don't know, control all the steps in the process, but it is a matter of concern.
Absolutely.
I think what I'll probably do for my after action is get in touch with the county attorney's office and find out what, because I have to assume that our county attorney is going to do things in accordance with the law. So there has to be a legal issue that would mandate that we have to release people that we know here are here illegally. There has to be a legal reason or precedence for it, or we wouldn't do it. That's what I'm going to assume until I can talk to the county attorney and find out for sure.
And I can follow up on our end too to see if we've had any of these admissions that we're questioning.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. So on to the new construction and the new facility. And just wanted to update where we are with that. The main electrical gear came in, and so the building's on its full permanent power. They're powering up the heating, the air conditioning systems, so the building's warm. The substantial completion date is now January 30th, and that's a pretty solid date now that that electrical equipment is in there. So our goal is to be able to occupy the building within 2 months of that substantial completion date. Big part of that is the staffing. We said July 1st to December 31st, our target was 31 officers. We've hired 28 officers. 4 officers haven't completed or didn't complete the training, and so we're down to 7 vacancies. We've got a job advertisement out there today that closes in about a week, so we should meet that target of 31 officers and start that next class in January of 23. So that'll put us right on schedule for getting into the new facility. Any questions about the new construction?
So we're looking like 1 February, basically?
substantial completion. The equipment, furniture will start moving in mid-February. We'll start training probably around that same time. We're going to be operating 2 facilities for a while, so we're going to need this
like-
training class that's in pre-service right now.
Maybe April, probably.
I'm hoping that we get in there before then,
Okay,
but that would be the target.
great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay. All agenda items have been addressed as published, and the Board of Corrections is adjourned.